We're going to go over just the very basics of using dark and light value to create a sphere from a plain circle. I'm going to use a circle template. It's a nice way to begin, although you can definitely practice making good circles without one. So to transform this from a plain white circle, I'm going to start by holding the pencil really far back. See how I'm demonstrating holding the pencil far away from the graphite tip means that I can use a softer value by pressing lightly and kind of an even texture, because you will need to practice going from light to dark and gently adding more and more layers wherever you need it dark. And also using a wider portion of that cone on the end of your pencil. So every sphere is lit from some certain angle. You'll have to decide where it is going to be lit from. I often decide to make it upper left. And so that means my upper left portion will be lighter than the lower right portion. And I'm kind of finding that area in the middle where there will be a curved line. That curved contour line helps our eyes and our brain believe that this is a spherical, round object. So I'm beginning with my first layer of shade inside the dark side, like the dark side of the moon. Just doing a light, feathery stroke in one direction and making the whole thing just a little bit darker than the other side. Holding my pencil really far back, doing my best to stay in the lines and keep an even pressure and even value. Next, on my left-hand side, I know that my highlight, or that little spot of the absolute most light is going to be in a little bit from the edge. So I'm starting to feel out where's that light really hitting, because believe it or not, in a photograph, there's usually only one tiny area that is white, like completely white. So now I'm adding in some additional layering of graphite inside. This is going to be the core shadow, the darkest area of my whole sphere. So I'm adding layer upon layer. And here the light gets a little strange because the graphite starts to reflect some light. I'll angle it differently in a bit so you can see. I'm just building more and more pressure just inside of like a little parentheses shape, if you can see. Within the shadowy side, there's a darkest parentheses area. One path to having realism in your art is patience. If you can patiently layer, then you'll start to see the effects you never thought you could make. So here I'm starting to use my finger to gently blend. You gotta be careful when you're using your finger, because as soon as you have graphite on your finger, you start transferring it everywhere. And I'm using it to bring the darkness up around my singular area of highlight. So you'll see one area I didn't touch and it's remaining white. The other areas are all at least a light gray. And you can go back and refine and even things out so that you have the whitest white in one point, a very light gray surrounding it, and then a shadow side, and then a deep dark core shadow, which right now looks kind of white because it's reflecting tons of light. But I will even use an eraser to help blend or move pigment out of that area. Make sure it's circular. Make sure everything is gradated out evenly. Feel free to fuss and take a long time. And now with it tilted up, you can see how dark I got that core shadow. And I haven't even done a background or a table surface yet. But I had a lot of fun.